should be. So I'm going to run you through some exercises to really improve the strength of your plank, improve the alignment of your plank, and show you a progression that you can do within your own practice. Okay, so let's get started in table. So we'll start in table with our shoulders over our wrists and our hips over our knees. I prefer that you tuck your toes here, and that's just going to help with our alignment and our stability here. So the first thing I want you to practice here is actually look down at your hands and make sure that your pointer fingers are parallel to one another. So a lot of people turn their hands in or out. Your hands should be parallel to one another, your pointer fingers, and then every finger should be open. You should be pushing through the ball mound of your hand, the tips of your fingers, and the base of your wrist, so you can get this kind of opening, even like a less in the wrist than in the hand and the fingers, to take the strain off of the wrist. So you're pushing down through your hands, your pointer fingers are parallel to one another. The first thing I want you to do is just let your chest drop and lift between your shoulders. So this is going to feel weird, and at first you're kind of going to want to round and stuff. Keep everything in neutral and just work on dropping and lifting, dropping and lifting. We're using a muscle called our serratus anterior here, and that is those feather-like muscles on the sides of the body, and we're getting protraction or a forward motion of the shoulder blade. So the shoulder blade's moving back and forward. We want that forward protraction, that almost like lift forward of the shoulder blade. As you see, it lifts through my back, and it gives me some stability in my shoulder complex, so I'm not putting myself at risk of injuring my rotator cuff and things like that. So that's step number one. Then the eyes of your elbows are going to turn forward. So looking at you, that's what this looks like. So from here, if my elbows are facing one another, I'm collapsing into my wrist. I want you to push through the ball mound of your hands and roll the eyes of your elbows forward while you find that lift in the back of your chest. And that is going to protect your wrists, your elbows, your shoulders. So work on that for the beginning, okay? Then from there, you're going to think about your sit bones. So keeping everything engaged in the top, you're going to just kind of rock your pelvis. What I want you to do is gently rock your pelvis so your sit bones move towards your heels, engaging your legs. Your navel draws into your spine. We're not rounding here. We're getting length in our spine. So rather than having an arch, we're long in our spine. We're squeezing our inner thighs energetically towards one another. And this is the base of our plank. So if we can hold this for 5 to 10 breaths, then we can take it to the next level. So if you can hold here for 5 to 10 breaths, very good, then you're going to move forward with this. So what we'll do is we'll move our knees back a little bit. We can move our hands forward a little bit. And we're going to shift into a half plank, or a plank with our knees on the ground. Your toes can untuck here if you prefer. It's actually a little more comfortable to untuck the toes. Your gaze is towards the front edge of your mat. Again, I'm pushing through all 10 fingers. Pointer fingers are parallel. Eyes of the elbows are forward. Lift through the back of my chest. Chin is tucked in, gaze is forward. And my sit bones are moving towards my heels. So this is what you don't want to look like. This is what you do want to look like. Then you shift forward from there to hold your plank. So your elbows are, your shoulders are over your wrists. If we're going to chaturanga from there, we need to shift forward enough that our shoulders are going to go forward, right? So we're finding that balance. If you can hold that for 5 breaths, then you can tuck your toes and begin to lift into your full plank. Some of the mistakes I see are the butt in the air, the chest dropping through the shoulders, the gaze down at your feet, or the gaze all the way far forward. So to refine our plank, we want to, again, engage through all 10 fingers. Pointer fingers engaged, ball mound of the hands engaged. We want to roll the eyes of the elbows forward, find a protraction or a lift in the back of the shoulders. We want to lift our knees, and we want to move our sit bones towards our heels, getting length in our spine. Our gaze is towards the front edge of our mat. Our hamstrings are engaged. We're firing our quads, lifting our kneecaps up towards our hips, and we are holding here. That is perfect alignment in a plank and where you would want to be. So you'll work through that progression, starting with table, trying to hold that for 5 to 10 breaths. Then you'll go to kneeling plank or half plank, and again try to hold that for 5 to 10 breaths, and then you'll work your way to full plank. So in your yoga practice, what you're going to do is when they say plank, if you aren't capable yet of holding a half plank for 5 to 10 breaths, go to table and work on that really engaged good form. Then you'll progress as you continue to be consistent with your yoga practice. So I hope that's really helpful. breaking down plank and how we can do that safely with control.